Imagine this, 1,050,000. No, make that 150 houses scattered right here and maybe 2 right over there. That's just a glimpse into the kind of lifestyle we're talking about. No exaggeration, this is genuinely how life looks through his eyes. And get this, he landed a deal to play video games just once a week for an hour with a whopping $2 million handed up front. At that time, he had zero money in his pocket and was desperate. What for? To buy Birkin bags for all these women and to give away cash just to stir jealousy in his girlfriend. That's not hearsay, it's the literal truth. When negotiating, he told the company, "I need $2 million up front so I can buy a content house." The man was making choices that many would call foolish. Take 6ix9ine, for example. He flaunted wealth nonstop, snapping up Birkin bags for his girlfriend, throwing money left and right, yet somehow neglected his own daughter, Soraya, providing her only $2,000 over 5 years. That's pretty heartless and fake, isn't it? These sharp criticisms, they're not just fleeting online rants. They echo the sentiments of millions who once admired Daniel Hernandez, better known as 6ix9ine, the rainbow-haired rapper who shook up the hip-hop scene. He wasn't just any artist. At his prime, he shattered Instagram Live records with over 2 million viewers tuning in, sending the internet into a frenzy as hits like Gooba and Trolls amassed over 45 million views within 24 hours. He rose from a Brooklyn nobody to the undisputed king of New York, a pop culture icon defying all odds and piling on fame at a dizzying speed. To many fans, he was more than a rapper. He was a storm, undeniable proof that an outsider could dominate the game. But that brilliant shine didn't last. Love turned to contempt, and cheers soured into curses. Behind those million-dollar tracks lay a stain of scandals impossible to erase. A man willing to go to any lengths for money, no matter the cost to decency or law. He foolishly incriminated himself in his lyrics, faced sex crime convictions, got into public brawls feeding his ego, and painted a picture of luxury with diamonds, sports cars, and stacks of cash, only for those closest to reveal most of it was a sham. The ultimate fall, snitching on 12 associates to reduce a daunting 47-year sentence down to just 2 years. That move transformed him from a rebellious icon to a reviled traitor, earning labels like Karen and mockery across social media. From reigning as New York's defiant king, 6ix9ine is now just a name tangled with deceit, betrayal, and indelible stains. What led this man, once the ruler of the world, to hurl himself into such a downfall? Was it the weight of betrayal or sheer, unrelenting arrogance? To grasp this collapse, we need to revisit each significant moment, from when Dummy Boy propelled him to stardom, right through to his empire's irreversible wreckage. "Does money dictate everything you do?" he once asked. "Yes," was the blunt acknowledgement. Then the confusing rant. "What do you not hear? Car selection address nothing. I'm never going to address nothing. Y'all believe what y'all want to believe." That was just part of the chaos surrounding him. Daniel Hernandez grew up in Bushwick, Brooklyn, a place where violence and poverty were daily hurdles. Tragedy struck early when his stepfather was murdered at his age 13. School ended soon after, dropping out in 8th grade, and he took on odd jobs to support his family. In 2014, adopting the stage name 6ix9ine, drawn from Japanese anime, and the symbolism of the number 69, he embarked on his music journey. From the very start of his music career, 6ix9ine made an unforgettable impact. Sporting rainbow-colored hair, covered in full-body tattoos, and delivering an aggressive rap style, he quickly soared to fame on SoundCloud. But it was his breakout 2017 single, Gummo, that truly transformed his trajectory. More than just a song, Gummo served as a powerful declaration. With its relentless beat, provocative lyrics, and a music video showcasing gang members, The track surged to number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 and racked up over 130 million views on YouTube within just a few months. I want people to know I'm real. I live this life, 6ix9ine proclaimed during an interview with DJ Academics, openly boasting about his connections to the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods, a well-known faction of the New York Bloods. His style was a striking blend of gangster imagery, vivid colors, and a rebellious attitude, a combination that deeply resonated with a generation eager for bold, rule-breaking figures. The public's enthusiastic embrace propelled 6ix9ine to unprecedented heights. His debut mixtape, Day 69, soared to number 4 on the Billboard 200, featuring tracks like Kuda and Cake, which cemented his place in the rap scene. Despite leaking ahead of schedule, his album Dummy Boy still climbed to number 2 on the Billboard 200, powered largely by the hit single Faith featuring Nicki Minaj. This track peaked at number 3 on the Hot 100 and earned double platinum certification. On Instagram, 6ix9ine amassed over 15 million followers at his peak, with every post sparking controversy and drawing millions of interactions. "I don't need to be right, I just need to be seen," he once stated, a quote that perfectly summarized his approach. Rather than alienate his audience, the chaos 6ix9ine brought in only captivated them. His audacity turned into a loyal fan base that staunchly defended him against waves of criticism. However, the very persona and dangerous affiliations that catapulted him to fame also ignited a series of legal troubles that would drastically alter his path, plunging him into a cycle of condemnation and imprisonment. "I've got federal agents sitting in front of my house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars," he revealed. "There are only 2 things I fear in life, God and the FBI. Those are the only 2 things I'm scared of." Cracks in his career began to emerge as early as 2015, before Gummo even hit the airwaves. At just 18 years old, Daniel Hernandez was arrested in connection with a video containing sexual content involving a 13-year-old girl. Court records detailed that the video was filmed at a Harlem party and depicted the victim in a pornographic context. Although Hernandez was not directly involved in the assault, his actions and presence in the video led to charges of using a child in a sexual performance, a serious felony in New York. His sentence reflected the gravity of the offense: 300 hours of community service, 2 years of therapy, and a required letter of apology to the victim's family. This is considered one of the most severe crimes involving minors in New York, and the penalties could have been even harsher if Hernandez had not accepted a plea deal. Initially, this case slipped under the radar and did not attract public scrutiny. However, in 2017, as 6ix9ine exploded on social media with his flamboyant photos and controversial music videos, these court documents resurfaced and quickly went viral. Just as his fame was reaching its peak, the dark truth from 2 years prior emerged in the spotlight. Online communities reacted swiftly. One Reddit user bluntly labeled him a predator. One critical comment on X was much harsher, stating, "Nothing excuses that behavior, no matter how famous he gets." The contradiction between 6ix9ine's real life and his online persona was stark. In reality, he had been convicted of a crime involving a minor, yet on social media, he fashioned a defiant street rapper image. This inconsistency led hip-hop forums to question, could all this bravado and noise simply be a facade, a mask hiding a deeply flawed character? Trying to manage the fallout, 6ix9ine appeared on DJ Academics' show, where he claimed that the victim was about 14 years old and that he was 17 at the time. However, court records revealed that he was actually 18, a fact that only fueled public feelings of deception. He also insisted he voluntarily wrote an apology letter out of genuine remorse, though this was in fact a mandatory part of his plea deal. Far from showing authentic regret, 6ix9ine swiftly returned to releasing provocative music videos and songs, seemingly betting that stirring up new scandals could divert attention from his past. He seemed to believe that fame and wealth could erase his history. A disillusioned fan vented their disappointment on Instagram. The backlash snowballed into a cancel 6ix9ine movement with numerous hip-hop channels, music blogs, and rap fan pages calling for a boycott. Prestigious outlets like Pitchfork, The Daily Beast, and Complex covered the case extensively. Ironically, despite the uproar, his Instagram follower count and YouTube views continued to rise, demonstrating the strange allure of his dangerous yet captivating image. If 6ix9ine had truly learned from this mistake, his story might have taken a different path. Instead, he chose to deepen his troubles by plunging headfirst into a series of new controversies, accelerating the downward spiral of both his career and reputation. In truth, the 2015 scandal was merely the first stain on his record, temporarily disrupting his efforts to craft a glamorous gangster persona, where money, luxury cars, and extravagant displays served as props designed to attract attention and conceal a much darker personal life. What? For fans who followed him from the beginning, his brand identity was unmistakable. Stacks of cash waved in front of the camera, a lineup of supercars parked outside, lavish parties, and sparkling jewelry. Flaunting wealth became central to his persona, turning each video into a stage set to prove he was living the high life. Yet, like a flashy backdrop in an inexpensive studio, it was all just a facade. Beneath the surface lurked emptiness and mounting debts. This harsh reality was laid bare by Steve Wildoit, a former associate who revealed he had helped 6ix9ine secure a $2 million deal with Rumble to live-stream gaming content. Yet, 6ix9ine reportedly only showed up for 4 sessions before disappearing, claiming he was investing in a content house. Steve labeled him a terrible person, detailing his enormous debts, $10 million owed to the IRS in taxes, $9.80 million damages awarded to a stripper named Alexis after he threw a bottle, $600,000 in unpaid mortgage payments, $60,000 owed to a contractor, $1 million debts involving a separate incident, and another $1 debts involving a separate incident, and another $1 million due to a lawsuit filed by an ex-girl. In his own words, 6ix9ine admitted, "I don't have money right now," exposing that the cash stacks featured in his ostentatious videos were in fact fake. He described himself as an entertainment artist with an entertainment degree, a reflection of his focus on showmanship rather than substance. The excuse he gave was both ridiculous and bitter, especially considering his entire persona of wealth was nothing more than a carefully crafted show. What truly enraged the public was how he spent the little he had, borrowing just $69 to buy Birkin bags for his girlfriend and throwing cash around online to gain favor with followers, while he neglected his own children. Over a span of more than 5 years, he managed to provide only $2,000 for his daughter, Soraya, roughly $400 annually, and never met his second daughter, Bella, despite acknowledging he was her father. Soraya Molina, the mother of Soraya, accused him of failing to buy Christmas presents for their daughter, leaving her wanting. Marina, Bella's mother, confirmed that she received just $20,000 after his release from prison and none afterward. For many, especially the mothers involved, this was a clear display of irresponsibility, a father who squandered money on meaningless displays but left his children deprived in both material and emotional ways. These financial shortcomings were merely the tip of the iceberg. 6 has repeatedly found himself in legal trouble, starting with a 2015 incident involving a Houston teenager who was driving without a license while obstructing police efforts, escalating to accusations of inappropriate behavior with Soraya Molina. He tested positive for stimulants, though he claimed it was just Adderall, and violated probation in 2024, resulting in 45 days in jail and the looming threat of a 1-year sentence. At one point, the IRS seized his cars, jewelry, and his home in Florida due to unpaid debts. Attempting to recover, he promoted dummy coin cryptocurrency and signed a $6 million record deal, which was later canceled because of his probation violation. One viewer remarked, "These mistakes don't just leave a permanent stain, they reveal his completely fake and irresponsible nature." More troubling still, this downward spiral is far from over. Each scandal and incident suggests 6ix9ine has learned nothing from his disgrace. His next offenses will only underscore this growing pattern. The flashy lifestyle and mounting debts are just superficial symptoms of a deeper problem, an attitude of disregard for norms and consequences that has been evident since he escaped a 2015 sex crime conviction. In fact, to prove just how little he had learned from past failures, 6ix9ine plunged immediately into another reckless act after narrowly avoiding conviction. He threw a celebration that quickly became one of his most notorious disasters. Instead of retreating quietly, he treated it as a victory and celebrated in signature style, lavish, loud, and full of controversy. He gathered with members of the 9 Trey Bloods gang at Philippe Chow, a famed New York restaurant, for a flamboyant event. But when the staff refused to serve them, chaos erupted. Chairs were hurled, a security guard was injured, gunshots fired, diners panicked, and police quickly raided the scene. Several members of 9 Trey, including 6ix9ine's manager, were arrested immediately. The Philippe Chow incident was just the beginning. It exposed how 6ix9ine handled conflict, not by calming things down, but by fueling tensions to the breaking point. Prior to this, 9 Trey had been associated with armed robberies, street fights, and reckless shootings. His close connections to the gang signaled a continued pattern of poor decisions and dangerous associations. Tekashi 6ix9ine shed his rebellious rapper image, revealing a much darker side as a key player in an organized crime network. When federal charges landed on his doorstep, including racketeering, armed robbery, drug trafficking, and conspiracy to commit serious violence, it felt like a career-ending blow. Facing a minimum sentence of 47 years, the future looked bleak. But everything changed in November 2018. An extensive FBI operation led to the arrest of 6ix9ine and members of his 9 Trey gang. Just days after the arrests, he made a decision that shocked the entire rap community, a decision they labeled unforgivable. 6ix9ine chose to cooperate with federal prosecutors and began snitching on his crew. During his September 2019 trial, he laid bare the inner workings of 9 Trey, admitted to financing violent acts, and implicated other well-known rap figures. The entire industry was sent reeling by these revelations. The rap world responded with unprecedented outrage. Meek Mill didn't mince words, calling him a rat. Social media exploded with condemnations, and the general consensus was clear. 6ix9ine had broken every code and rule the rap community holds sacred. In street culture, loyalty is an unspoken but fiercely protected law, and his betrayal was like a direct assault on the honor of everyone who believed in the authenticity of his lyrics. 6ix9ine tried to defend himself by saying, "They betrayed me first. I just wanted to live." But for many in the rap world, those excuses failed to erase the damage. A review in Vulture summed it up perfectly. This betrayal obliterated everything he stood for, turning his street raps into a mockery of hypocrisy. He openly admitted, "I don't care if I'm held accountable for what I did. Yes, I snitched, and I did it proudly." The consequences were harsh and undeniable. His sentence was drastically reduced to 2 years, and he was released early in April 2020 due to concerns over COVID-19. However, the cost was immense: a shattered reputation, bans from many performance venues, becoming a target for attacks, and widespread shunning. Instead of expressing remorse, 6ix9ine doubled down, turning his snitching into content he bragged about, proclaiming, "I beat the system." Yet, this bravado only made him appear more callous and hardened. Even charitable organizations shunned him. No Kid Hungry refused to accept his $200,000 donation. The rap world nearly unanimously erased him from the narrative of their culture and history. Fans and critics alike questioned, how could someone who celebrated loyalty betray his own crew and then shamelessly monetize that betrayal? His actions not only destroyed his gangster image, but transformed him into a symbol of hypocrisy. What drove 6ix9ine to such self-destructive choices? Perhaps it was the burning ambition to become a living legend, which led him to forsake loyalty and everything else for fleeting fame. Now, he pays a heavy price, enduring a cascade of consequences that seem irreversible. From a legal standpoint, his troubles mounted. Probation in 2017, arrest in 2018, a reduced sentence thanks to cooperating against 9 then probation violations in 2024 and 2025, that landed him 45 days in detention, along with the looming threat of a 1-year sentence after testing positive for stimulant. Financially, the situation is dire. 6ix9ine faces over $20 million in debt, including $10 owed to the IRS, nearly $9.80 million to Alexis, $2 million to Rumble, $1 million related to a robbery, another $1 $600,000, $60,000 for a house, $60,000. By 2025, the IRS seized and auctioned off his house and cars, further stripping away his stability and assets. The saga of 6ix9ine is a stark and cautionary tale, filled with controversies and missteps that unraveled his once promising career. Once adorned with flashy jewelry, grills, and platinum records, his professional life has since crumbled dramatically. His album Tattletales managed to sell merely 53,000 copies, a dismal figure compared to expectations. Subsequent projects like Leyenda Viva and Blackballed flopped entirely, leaving him ostracized and sidelined by the music industry. Even his efforts to pivot towards the Latin market failed to restore his standing in the United States. A notable incident underlining his fall was when the nonprofit No Kid Hungry declined his $200,000 donation, signaling the depth of his rejection. Public sentiment turned harsh with viral memes viciously labeling him a traitor and a deadbeat dad. His personal life was riddled with scandals, from inappropriate behavior involving Soraya Molina Yalin to disruptive episodes at airports, fabricating his own death for online views, and even attacking fans. These incidents only drove his image further into the ground. Both Soraya Molina and Ross Verde openly criticized him for neglecting his children, and in a letter to a judge, he admitted, "I was reckless and foolish." A fan's commentary summed up much of public opinion. 669 may have talent, but he betrayed his crew, abandoned his kids, and led a fake life. He doesn't deserve forgiveness. His reputation was further marred by accusations of snitching on 9 tax evasion, and flaunting a fabricated lifestyle, all of which cost him immense respect within the hip-hop community. Ultimately, no amount of talent could excuse such irresponsibility and ethical failings. Despite signing major deals from prison and boldly declaring himself the King of New York, 6ix9ine could not escape the consequences of his choices, actions that destroyed both his life and his career. This story is far more than a chronicle of an artist surrounded by scandal. It serves as a powerful mirror reflecting the dangers of sacrificing core principles and values for momentary fame. The bright glare of the spotlight can seduce and blind. The roaring applause can make you forget your true self. But these sensations vanish quickly if your foundation rests on shaky ground. First and foremost, this is a stern warning about loyalty and trust. In any community, be it a circle of friends, a sports team, a workplace, or a culture as tight-knit as hip-hop, trust forms the vital thread that holds everyone together. Betrayal shatters relationships and severs one's ties to their community. The rap world especially sees loyalty as an unspoken, inviolable law. Break it, and not only do allies disappear, but every chance at a comeback slams shut. Secondly, it's a lesson about embracing personal responsibility, especially when you're a figure of influence. No one expects perfection, but when millions watch, your choices ripple beyond yourself. Neglecting family, glorifying violence, or parading false wealth does damage far beyond mere image. It implants distorted ideals of success and happiness in the minds of impressionable fans, particularly the youth. Fame is undeniably a privilege but comes coupled with responsibility. Use it to build and elevate, or misuse it and sink deeper than any fall. Thirdly, the 6ix9ine story underscores that fame alone cannot substitute for integrity. Hits may be manufactured, deals signed, and media stunts pulled, but integrity is earned progressively through consistent, honorable actions. Once it slips away, no fortune or fame can reclaim it. Integrity acts as the shield that guards you when the spotlight dims. Without it, the allure of glamour is nothing more than peeling paint. Finally, this narrative teaches us about the stark contrast between truth and illusion. One can construct a lavish persona online, but when the mask drops, all that remains is reality, often far less glamorous and far more fragile than the illusion presented. Imagine convincing yourself and everyone around you that you're successful, only to have the harsh truth reveal itself at your most vulnerable moment. When that truth hits, it doesn't merely take away your fame or fortune. It robs you of the chance to ever be trusted again. Take 6ix9ine, for example. He once possessed everything countless young artists dream of: raw talent, massive fame, and a fiercely dedicated fan base. Yet he deliberately chose the shortest and most perilous route to maintain his relevance, a path defined by infamy, boastfulness, and dangerous illusions of power. This trajectory might catapult you to the top, but it's also steep enough to send you plummeting into an abyss with just a single misstep. And when that fall comes, all the money, fame, and social media adoration you clung to suddenly lose their meaning, because what remains is the unvarnished truth of who you really are. This story serves as a powerful reminder that true, lasting success doesn't stem from fleeting moments of glory, but from the unwavering principles you live by when nobody's watching. Once the spotlight fades and the cheers vanish, your worth isn't measured by the million-dollar deals you signed or the chart-topping hits you produced. Instead, it's revealed through how you lived your life, the values you upheld, and the people who still stand by you when all the glamour has disappeared. Looking at 6ix9ine's situation today, these lessons hit home with even greater clarity. His rise and fall warn us about the heavy price of chasing fame without ethics or accountability. He sacrificed the respect of millions who once adored his unique style and explosive energy. Fans recall the early days, like one commenter on YouTube who fondly remembers when 6ix9ine was just an eccentric guy with colorful hair, before scandals tainted his image. But his careless responses to criticism, whether minimizing serious offenses or openly boasting about betrayals, alienated even his most loyal supporters. Despite desperate attempts to revive his career with releases like Leandanda Viva and Blackballed, 6ix9ine has been unable to reclaim his former glory. Leandanda failed to chart, and his social media engagement has plummeted, attracting only a fraction of the audience he once commanded. Although he continues to produce music, very few take him seriously nowadays. A Reddit user summed it up succinctly, highlighting the grim reality of his downfall. Multiple arrests, ranging from domestic violence allegations in the Dominican Republic to probation violations, have only cemented his reputation as irredeemable. While 6ix9ine still tries to maintain a presence on Instagram and TikTok, The genuine community and unwavering trust he once enjoyed have vanished forever. Questions about his ethics and behavior will relentlessly haunt his legacy, turning what was once a dazzling star into a symbol of failure and betrayal. He had everything going for him, yet chose to destroy it all by his own hand, as one comment on X aptly concluded. Perhaps this is the most painful and profound lesson to take away from this whole story.